I'd like to see my balance, please.
What? Those little rats who steal and then sneak in here to scam! Do I look easy to fool, black stinking rat?
He's looking at an older black man in a dusty black coat. Right shoe split at the toe, lashed shut with a different pair's laces. 3 days of stubble.
I'd like to see my balance, please.
Bradley's smile grew cold.
Even rats scurrying around garbage dumps get accounts? Is there some apple core in them? This isn't a garbage dump! Get out!
Bradley had no idea who the homeless man he despised really was. But the man in the torn shoes had a name and a story worth telling. To understand what's about to happen in that lobby, you have to back up. 7 hours, then 7 days. This morning, before any of this, Solomon Tate woke up on a bench in Central Park. He folded the wool blanket into a tight square and slid it into the canvas duffel. He walked to the public restroom near the boathouse. He splashed cold water on his face, looked at himself in a streaked mirror, tightened the laces on the right shoe that had been split at the toe for 3 years. Solomon is 68 years old. He has slept outside every night for the past 7 nights. He does this every October. His wife Margaret was a nurse at Harlem Hospital. Years ago, she finished a 14-hour shift one Tuesday. She walked into a bank on her way home, still in her scrubs, still smelling like the ward. The teller looked at her uniform, her tired face, the dried coffee on her sleeve, and said, "Ma'am, I think you're in the wrong place." Margaret didn't tell Solomon about it for 3 days. When she did, she didn't cry. She just looked at the kitchen floor and said, "I just wanted to deposit my paycheck." That was the day Solomon learned what it cost to look tired in front of someone who didn't want to see you. Margaret died a few years after that conversation. Solomon never forgot what the teller's face looked like. So every October, on the week of Margaret's death, he goes out into the city. He dresses as the kind of man no one looks at. He sleeps where people sleep when they have nowhere else. He eats from delis and bodegas. By the time he walks into one of his own bank branches on the 7th day, the fatigue on his face is not a costume. It is the cost of remembering. This morning, after the bench, he took the long way uptown. He sat on the stoop of a brownstone in Harlem. He quietly owns the brownstone, though the boy who lives there does not know that. The boy's name is Devin, 16 years old, wants to be a doctor. They talked about chemistry homework. Solomon pulled a worn paperback of W.E.B. Du Bois out of his duffel and slid it across the step. Devin offered him half a bagel. Solomon ate it. Then he walked to the 4 train and rode south. At 86th Street, a young woman in a clean white coat looked up from her phone. She looked at Solomon. She quietly moved 2 seats away. Solomon noticed. Solomon did not react. He went back to the page he was reading. By 11:14 a.m., he was standing on Madison Avenue. In front of him, a bronze plaque that said Pemberton Heritage Trust. Frosted glass, gold leaf, 2 doormen. A small placard inside the door, small enough not to scare anyone, that read, "By appointment. Minimum opening deposit $250,000. The doorman looked at his shoes. They did not stop him. New York doormen know who to stop and who to ignore. Solomon's instinct told him they had decided he was someone the manager could handle. Inside the lobby, Bradley Whitmore was laughing. He stood next to Mrs. Caldwell, a woman in pearls, one of his oldest clients, 3 accounts in a trust. He was laughing at her joke about a senator. It was a real laugh. He had a real laugh when he chose to use it. Mrs. Caldwell loved how warm he could be. Then Bradley looked over her shoulder, saw Solomon walk through the door. His jaw tightened. Without breaking eye contact with Mrs. Caldwell, he raised 2 fingers toward Officer Whitfield by the wall. 2 fingers meant, "Handle this." Behind the counter, 24-year-old Greta Hollister was eating leftovers out of a Tupperware. She had been at Pemberton 6 weeks. She was from a town in rural Pennsylvania where her father worked in a paper mill. She was the first person in her family who had ever worn a suit to work. She was quietly terrified of Bradley. She looked up. She saw Solomon step inside. She saw the worn coat, the torn shoe, the tired face. Her first instinct, before policy, before fear, was to smile at him. That smile is the only reason any of what comes next happens at all. Solomon stepped through the door. The lobby smelled like polished brass and old money. The light from the gold leaf ceiling fell soft and yellow on the travertine floor. He made it 10 feet inside before Officer Dale Whitfield stepped in front of him. "Sir." Whitfield was a heavy man with a tight collar and a radio clipped to his hip. He kept his hand close to that radio while he spoke. "This is a private bank. I'm going to need to see some ID." Solomon kept his voice level. "I'm a customer." "Sir, ID." Pemberton's actual policy does not require walk-in customers to show ID at the door. Whitfield had never asked a man in a tailored coat for ID. He was asking Solomon because Bradley's 2 fingers had told him to. Behind Solomon, the lobby noticed. A man in a charcoal suit lowered his newspaper. The older couple by the gold leaf wall stopped talking. Mrs. Caldwell turned her head just enough to see. Solomon reached slowly into his coat. He took out a worn leather card holder. He opened it. Inside was a single card, black, no logo, an embossed silver star in one corner, 16 digits across the front. Whitfield glanced at it, did not read it. He looked past Solomon's shoulder, waiting. Bradley arrived a moment later. He arrived smiling. "Good morning, sir. How can Pemberton help you today?" The smile was for the room, for Mrs. Caldwell standing 12 feet away in her pearls, for the toddler in the stroller by the window, for the older couple in chairs near the gold leaf wall. The smile said, "Relax, the manager is handling this." Then Bradley leaned in close to Solomon's ear. His voice dropped to a register only Solomon could hear. "The shelter is on 31st Street, 6 blocks south. Walk fast and you'll get a bed before noon." Solomon did not flinch. His right hand brushed the canvas duffel at his hip, the bag with Margaret's photograph inside it, the only thing he kept on his body when he did this. He felt the shape of the photograph through the fabric. He kept his voice level. "I'd like to see my balance." Bradley took the card holder out of Solomon's hand. He glanced at the black card. He did not actually read the digits. He closed the card holder and slid it into his own suit jacket pocket, as if it belonged to him now. "This is stolen. It's mine. It's stolen. That card is registered to my account at this bank." Bradley smiled wider. "Come with me, sir." The toddler's mother covered the toddler's ear. The older woman in the chair looked down at her own hands. The assistant manager at his desk by the window looked at his computer screen with sudden, fierce concentration. He could have stood up. He did not stand up. Bradley did not walk Solomon to the customer service desk. He did not walk Solomon to the assistant manager's window. He walked Solomon past 4 empty teller stations, all the way to the last window in the row. The window staffed by the newest employee in the building. "Greta." Greta looked up from her Tupperware. Her face went a little pale. "Yes, sir." "Humor the gentleman. Look up whatever balance he claims he has. Then call Whitfield to escort him out of the lobby." He said it loud. Loud enough for the queue behind Solomon to hear. Loud enough for Mrs. Caldwell to chuckle, somewhere over Solomon's shoulder. Solomon stepped up to the counter. He placed both hands flat on the cold marble. He looked at Greta. His voice was the same voice he had used at the door. Polite, patient, the voice of a man who had spoken this sentence many times in his life and was not done speaking it. "I'd like to see my balance, please." That was when Bradley laughed. It was a real laugh this time, too. Loud, theatrical. The kind of laugh designed for an audience. The audience obliged. Mrs. Caldwell laughed first. Short, bright, surprised, the way a woman laughs at a joke at a charity dinner. 2 men in the queue chuckled. One of them murmured, "Jesus Christ." Then Mrs. Caldwell, voice raised so Solomon could hear every word. "I'd like to see his balance, too." "Bradley, what is it? 83 cents? Are we counting the change in his cup?" The laughter came back, louder. Mrs. Caldwell was enjoying herself now. The man in the charcoal suit lifted his newspaper again, smiling behind it. The toddler had started to fuss in the stroller. The mother bounced the stroller and pretended not to watch. Solomon did not move. His hands stayed flat on the marble. His eyes stayed on Greta's face. The lobby's laughter washed past him like weather. Greta was not laughing. Greta was looking at her keyboard. Her hands were on the keys, but she had not typed anything. She did not know what to do. Bradley was watching her over Solomon's shoulder, waiting to see if the new girl had the spine to follow a direct order. Bradley reached into his own pocket. He took out his own wallet. He pulled out a crisp $20 bill. New, the kind that came out of an ATM that morning. Folded it once and slid it across the marble counter toward Solomon's hand. Tell you what. His voice was warm again, performative for the room. The way a man speaks to a stray dog he is about to kick. Take this. Go get yourself a real cup of coffee. Buy a sandwich. The deli on the corner is excellent. But don't come back here, sir. This isn't the place for you. He was smiling. He was enjoying this. The lobby could see him enjoying it. Solomon looked at the $20 bill. He did not touch it. His hands stayed flat on the marble exactly where they had been. He looked at Bradley. He said it again. I'd like to see my balance, please. Word for word. No louder. No softer. The same sentence. The lobby went quiet. The kind of quiet you can hear. The hum of fluorescent lights overhead. The soft chuff of the heating vents. The toddler beginning to cry in earnest this time. Mrs. Caldwell stopped smiling. One of the men in the queue cleared his throat and pretended to look at his phone. The performance had stopped being fun. Bradley's smile went somewhere else. What replaced it was thinner. He picked up the $20 bill, refolded it, put it back in his wallet with deliberate slowness, letting Solomon watch him do it. Fine, sir. If you insist on this, pretense, I'm going to need additional identification. 3 forms. Government issued, current. On the counter. Now. Solomon reached into the inside pocket of his coat. He took out his driver's license. New York State. Photo current. He laid it on the marble. He took out his U.S. passport card. Federal. Laid it next to the license. Then he took out a second Pemberton card. Different from the first. Heavier. Black with the small Pemberton crest in silver at the corner. The kind issued only to clients above a certain threshold. He laid that on the marble too. Bradley looked at the 3 pieces of identification. He did not pick any of them up. He did not read them. Forgeries. They're not. All 3. Obvious forgeries. Greta, bag them. We'll need to file a fraud report.